Greetings, my name is Neosekken and welcome back to my Let's Play of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. In the last episode, we began our investigation to Taka and Hifumi's murders, and we've uncovered some evidence that would point to the idea that, in spite of what we supposedly seen happen during all the chaos that was being caused by a one Mr. Robot Justice, Taka and Hifumi may not have been killed when we thought they were, during all the chaos. And secondly, we've uncovered the identity of Robot Justice, Mr. Robo Justice himself, that being Hiro. But he claims ignorance on the whole sequence of events that transpired, and that he was unconscious the whole time, and he doesn't remember anything prior to him being found in the locker in the pool area, wearing the costume. And when I looked over some evidence, specifically relating to the costume itself, and a very interesting little design oversight, I think I pretty much established that Hiro could not have been the murderer. And furthermore, I've also brought up the possibility, again using some evidence that I carefully examined and going over a sequence of events that, as they play out in front of us, that, well, Hifumi may not have died when we thought he did. And same with Taka. When we've looked on some evidence on him, when we found some interesting evidence on him, namely his broken wristwatch and the time that it showed after it was broken. And to compel things even further, we also found a note on Hifumi's possession here that pretty much requested somebody show up to the physics storeroom around 6 in the morning. Bottom line, I think everybody's being played for a fool here, and I'm going to prove that during the class trial. And then once I do that, then I can worry about trying to figure out who is the real mastermind behind this trial. But one thing at a time, as always. But first, let's set some skills. And now they must confront two murders. Who claimed the lives of Hifumi and Kiyotaka? In this class trial, suspicion builds upon suspicion. Okay, I got a couple new skills I can use. Trigger Happy. Decreases the delay between firing truth bullets. Yeah, I remembered right then. That's good. Effective during the non-stop debate and bullet time battle final strike. So we definitely want to equip that. And finally, we have Vocabulary. Increases bullet capacity. Effective during bullet time battle. Okay, we equip that as well. Okay, we now got two more skills than when we officially started this game, so that's definitely a plus. So, let's go ahead and start things, shall we? I gotta save our lives here with logic, reason.
Of the class trial. So, your votes will determine the results. If you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. Now then, to begin with...
We already know who did it!
We already know who did it!
Was that?
It was Hiro. He does not have an alibi for when the murders took place, and we found him in that suit. Don't try and deny it! You killed them!
Proceeds to deny it.
Someone knocked me out! I was asleep the whole time! I don't know anything about it!
Shut your murdering mouth, murderer!
That's rich coming from you.
Who are you calling a murderer?
I am sorry to say, Hiro, but we do have evidence. Blueprint for the suit. Parts we assume were used to build it. And all of it was found in your room. You have to admit, the evidence is quite compelling.
At a glance, I would agree with you. But when you hold the evidence up to further scrutiny, like I did throughout the last episode, it does not hold up quite as well as you think it does. Which I'll demonstrate shortly.
It points to you as having created the suit and wearing it while committing crime after crime.
How many times do I have to tell you? I don't know!
It's okay, Hiro. I know. And that's all you need to know. Is Hiro really the killer? Before anything else, we have to make that clear. Okay, then. My strongest piece of evidence that I can think of, and well, would you look at that? It's right there, the Robo Justice costume. I think that's what we need right here.
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
I don't know anything about that stuff! It's not true, it's a conspiracy!
Hero, why? Why did you kill them?
Wait a
No!
minute.
Just hold on a second!
Let me look at Yasuhiro's message. In the dining hall. This is a note I wrote to him. Okay, me in the dining hall is all it says. Handwriting is working clear. No one but Yasuhiro could. Okay. No, we can't bend it. We can't bend it. It can't bend it at the waist. And these are the blueprints for Robo Justice. Okay. Compelling evidence that Hiro is the killer. Is that really true?
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
I think what I need is Yasuhiro's message.
I don't know anything about that stuff! It's not
It'll
true,
be
it's a
for,
conspiracy!
Hero, why?
No!
The message that
Hold on a
he's...
second!
Okay, I'll just... Rather than try and talk over it, I'll just
Everything
get...
we found in your room.
Here. Ah, goddammit, I was wrong. Fuck. Your meaningless words tire me. Please stop wasting my time.
Shoot!
Maybe I'm overthinking this.
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
I don't know anything about that stuff! It's not true, it's a conspiracy!
Hero, why? Why did you...
No! Just hold on a second!
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough.
Okay, I think I'm definitely thinking about this wrong. Shit. I don't remember what to do here.
Shoot!
Maybe I should try rethinking this a bit. Compelling evidence that he's the killer.
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
I don't know anything about that stuff! It's not true, it's a conspiracy!
Hero, why? Why did you kill them?
No! Just hold on a second!
I really don't want to have to just guess here, because I'm already at a disadvantage. I already lost 2 parts. Compelling evidence that Hiro's the killer. Is that really true? Okay, I need to look over my truth bullets. We have this. God damn it, I see it now! The handwriting! It's the fucking handwriting!
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the
Here.
suit parts.
There we go!
No, that's wrong.
Are we sure Hiro really made those blueprints?
What do you mean?
Honestly, rather get him already tripping over my feet.
Well, take a look at this. It's the note that Hiro wrote, asking everyone to meet up after Alter Ego disappeared. The handwriting's obviously different, wouldn't you say? When you compare it to the blueprints.
There's no way you could think the same person made both of them.
Unless that person made it a point to disguise their handwriting.
No, the differences are bigger than that, I think.
Come on! I'm not smart enough to think of trying to change my handwriting anyway.
I can fully agree with you on that one.
So, Makoto, are you saying you don't think Hiro's the culprit?
And he's not the only one. I think Hiro is innocent as well.
Well, isn't that just special? You even got 4 Eyes Zero Soul here on your side, Hiro.
Then who was in that Robo-Justice suit? Is it like Hiro said? Was there really someone running around in a second suit?
The suspicious individual hidden within the suit. Go ahead, Makoto. Tell them who it was.
Okay. And of course he passes it off to me.
So, who was in the Robo-Justice suit?
The suspicious individual in question, the one that must have been in the suit? It was the Illuminati. No, it was Hiro.
I got it! Other than Hiro, I can't think of anyone else it could have been. Obviously, he was the one in that particular suit, and we never found any kind of second suit.
Then there can be no doubt. Hiro is the prime suspect.
That doesn't make any sense. You just said Hiro didn't do it.
It makes perfect sense. Hiro was the suspicious individual in the suit, but he's not the culprit.
So what you're saying is...
That's right. The culprit in this case has nothing to do with being in the Robo-Justice suit.
What? Now that's a bold assumption. And what reason do you have to make such a statement? You do have a reason, yes?
Several, actually.
Of course. But before we get to that, there's something else we need to clarify first. So let's get that out of the way.
Hey, stop trying to boss us around!
All things have a proper order.
So what is it? What needs to be clarified?
We must clarify the method of transportation for Taka's lifeless body.
Tarp and Dolly, got you covered.
It would seem that his corpse was moved using certain particular items. Makoto, can you tell us what they were?
Things that were used to move Taka's body. They must have been... Well, we have the tarp, number one. There's still one more thing. And now, the dolly.
I got it! They were a dolly and a tarp, right?
What's with the attitude? What... He always has an attitude, Makoto. Don't let it get to you.
So, let's see if I can explain. Taka's body disappeared from the equipment room, and then we rediscovered it in the repository. And when we found it for the second time, it was wrapped in a blue tarp, right? It was the same tarp that, up until then, was stored in the equipment room. So the killer must have seen it there, and decided to use it when they moved Taka's body. That way, they wouldn't leave any bloodstains while they were moving it.
Okay, that explains the tarp. And the dolly?
Same thing. I'm sure the dolly was in the equipment room when we first found Taka's body there. But when the body disappeared, so did the dolly. Later, when Taka's body reappeared in the repository, so did the dolly.
In other words, you think they used the dolly to move the body, am I right? But are you sure you are not mistaken?
Quite.
Huh?
Are you absolutely positive the dolly was in the equipment room when we found Taka's body?
Clear as crystal.
That dolly was made specifically for moving large objects between the repository and the art room.
Well, Taka's body is not exactly small.
It would be very strange indeed to discover it had made its way to the equipment room. Is it not possible that it was in the repository all along, and you simply didn't realize it?
My memory's not that crappy.
She's raised an objection. How do you respond?
There is no shame in being wrong, and nobody expects much from you anyway.
Well, that's good, because then I can blow all your expectations clear out of the fucking water.
We have all accepted the fact that you rarely understand what is going on around you.
Wow. I never had anyone sound so nice while being so mean. But maybe I can change your mind. If I could just explain to them why the dolly must have been moved from the equipment room to the repository. A new element has been added to bullet time battles. Would you like to hear more? Why not? Let's talk about reloading. Starting with this next bullet time battle, we're going to add one more ingredient to the recipe. On the bottom of the screen, underneath the tempo marker, you'll see your ammo count. Up until now, there hasn't really been a limit on how you destroy your opponent's statements. But from now on, just locking on and pressing the Y button won't be enough to handle them. Now it will cost you 1 bullet to destroy a single remark. Once you run out of bullets, you can't destroy any more statements, no matter how locked on you are. However, you can reload by pressing the X button. Just like locking on, you'll have to press the X button and time the tempo marker. Basically, just remember the X button now has a function along with the A and Y buttons. You will automatically reload at the start of fever time, and your ammo will not decrease. Oh, but if your action difficulty is set to gentle, you won't have to reload at all. In which case, you can ignore everything I just said. Well then, good luck and have fun. I'll try. Here we go.
You have it wrong. I cannot agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst.
Okay.
You miserable wretch. I cannot agree. You are a fool. Do your worst. You have it wrong. I cannot agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst.
Okay, time to bring this bad boy out.
I cannot agree. You are a fool. Do your worst. You miserable wretch. I cannot agree.
This should prove it.
So, what bug crawled up your butt today, Celeste? No need to be so
If
mean.
you're asking for proof that the dolly moved, I have it right here. When I found the dolly in the repository, one of the wheels had a blood stain on it. There was a pool of blood in the equipment room with a tire mark in it that matched the dolly wheel's tread. The killer probably rolled the dolly through the blood on accident as they wheeled the body out of the room. And as the blood dried on the tire, they moved the body into the repository. So there's my proof that the dolly was used to move Taka's body.
Jeez, does Celeste really hate me that much?
Well, anyway, that was just something we had to get out of the way. Let's get back to the main subject.
Yeah, the subject of how Robo-Justice didn't do it. Because if it's not a killer robot, then...
It's just a plain old robot.
what kind of robot is it?
I'm not sure that really matters.
I'd be happy to explain why the occupant of the suit couldn't possibly be the killer.
But you're gonna hand it off to Mr. Saltine Cracker, right?
If you look back on how the body was transported, it will become immediately obvious.
If I look at how the body was moved, it'll be clear why the person in the suit couldn't have done it. What does he mean by that? Remember this certain little design oversight? That'll be our key. Okay, now I know for sure I need to use the Robo-Justice costume here.
As we know, Taka was killed in the equipment room. And from there, the body was moved to the repository, correct?
Yeah, the culprit wrapped the body in the tarp, then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
Ah, shit, that was the wrong spot.
Shoot!
My train of thought is they can't move the dolly
As we
because
know,
they can't
Taka
bend
was
the waist
killed
in the
in
costume.
the equipment room. And from there,
Yeah, the culprit then
I just
loaded
need
it
to
onto
find
the
the
dolly
right spot.
and wheeled...
now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
Well, yeah, but even without a handle... All you'd have to do is bend
Here
over.
we are. This is what I wanted.
No, that's wrong. You're absolutely right that you could push a dolly without a handle if you stoop down low. But if you were wearing that suit, do you think you could actually get into a position like that?
What do you mean?
Think back to what you said when we were all checking out the suit together, remember?
Lines are bad in here. Can't see my feet at all. I'm surprised you got anywhere in this thing. Not to mention, you totally can't bend at the waist.
When you're in that suit, not only can you not see your feet, but you can't even bend at the waist. Am I right about that?
Now that you mention it, yeah.
It seems like it'd be awfully hard to push that dolly if you couldn't bend over.
Well, what's to stop you from simply pushing the dolly with your feet?
When you can't even see your feet? You really think someone could kick the dolly all that way?
Yes, actually. I mean, you can just feel around with your thing, with your feet, like you would with any shoe that you're wearing. As long as you know you're meeting a decent amount of resistance, you can just kick it all the way to the repository. It's not impossible.
Yeah, it'd be totally impossible. Not that I can say for sure myself.
Well, I'm glad that you left that low margin for possibility in your lower mark, because I just pointed out how it would be possible.
On top of that, if you were wearing such a rigid, cumbersome suit, it's very unlikely you would have the dexterity to go about wrapping the body in a tarp.
Well, I mean, isn't that just a matter of taking off the suit when you're ready to move the body?
You can't take it off by yourself, though. That's another problem with this costume. There's absolutely no chance that the costume is taken off just to move the body, because once it's on, you can never take it off. You can't take it off by yourself.
I don't think taking off the suit was an option. If you remember...
There's glass on his back that kept him from getting it off.
That's true. It seems impossible to put the suit on or take it off without help.
Then, you really can't take it off by yourself? Hero wasn't just making it up?
Exactly!
Of course I wasn't making it up.
If he could have gotten it off by himself, I don't think he would have let us see him wearing it. Showing up in the suit was basically an invitation for everyone to suspect it.
Yeah, that's right.
So, it's really, really true that Robo-Justice couldn't have moved the dolly?
To be clear, whoever did move the body, it couldn't have been Hero in the robot suit, correct?
No, wait. Just a second, if you please. Have you forgotten about the picture that I took?
Oh, that thing?
You all got a good look at it, did you not? The image of Hifumi being dragged away by Robo-Justice?
Mm-hmm. I got a good look at it, yeah.
If whoever was in that suit is not the culprit, how do you explain that?
I got some ideas.
Besides, do you remember what the now deceased Hifumi said?
How'd you get hurt? That guy hit me.
So long as those facts exist, the proper conclusion is beyond question.
Well, let's go back to the suit for a second. It can't bend at the waist, and if we take Hero's account when we found him at the pool face value, he's essentially been unconscious the entire time that Robo-Justice was supposedly going around hitting you and Hifumi with hammers. So, if he's been unconscious for as long as he claimed to have been, which was basically freaking early as hell in the goddamn morning, then I think it's possible that Hero was still very much unconscious when he was in that suit when that photo was taken. Which then begs the question: why would Hero be unconscious inside the Robo-Justice costume, while the picture shows that it looks like Hifumi is being carried away by Robo-Justice? I'll let you guys think about that first for a minute or two.
The individual inside the suit and the culprit are one and the same. It was Hiro, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's gotta be right.
Don't let curls fool you.
Hold on a second!
It's still far too early to reach that conclusion. Besides, there's no hurry to decide who did it. Before we rush to a verdict, shouldn't we explore every single possibility? Instead of seizing on one viewpoint, the truth is uncovered by analyzing things from every angle.
Perhaps, but where do we go from here?
Let's review this series of unfortunate events from the beginning. Maybe we'll uncover something new.
What a pain in the ass!
Yeah, well, if we don't do this, our asses are gonna get fried. Like bacon.
I don't disagree, but our lives are on the line. If this is what it takes, we have to do it.
Plus, maybe we'll get to find out where the heck Kyoko was when everything went down.
All right then, let's take another look back at what happened. I suppose we could start with this morning. 4 of us gathered together in the dining hall. Makoto, Hina, Kyoko, and myself. We waited there for quite a while, but nobody else showed up, so we went to look for everyone. That was around 8 a.m.
And as soon as we split up, Kyoko went missing.
Soon after that, Hina found Celeste in the rec room and quickly came to get Makoto and me.
It seems I was unconscious for about an hour after I was attacked by my mystery assailant. I know it was an hour because I remember being attacked a little after 7.
That was when we saw Celeste's picture and discovered that her assailant had been wearing a strange costume. As it turns out, it was Robo-Justice. It also soon became clear that this same Robo-Justice had abducted Hifumi. We were soon joined in our search by Byakuya and Toko, and then went on to find Hifumi in the library. He was injured, so we took him to the nurse's office and resumed our search for the suspect. But not long after leaving the nurse's office...
You saw a shadow moving at the top of the stairs.
When Celeste told us that, we decided to split up and search the 2nd floor. And soon after that,
I saw someone moving around on the 3rd floor, and I yelled out to everyone as soon as I did.
and then...
We heard another scream, that being from downstairs, and we found that scream to belong to Hifumi.
At that point, we decided to divide up into 2 groups. Celeste, Hina, and I went back to the nurse's office, while Sakura, Byakuya, and Toko chased after the suspect. When we got back to the nurse's office, we found Hifumi, dead. And that's when we heard the body discovery announcement. I left Celeste and Hina there and headed back to the 3rd floor to let the others know what had happened.
Meanwhile, we had just discovered Taka's body in the equipment room. We must have found both bodies at almost exactly the same time, because we heard the same announcement not long after we discovered his body.
And that's when I told you guys about Hifumi. Then the 3 of us headed for the nurse's office. But right after we left the physics lab, we ran into Celeste, who'd arrived after us. And she told us something very surprising.
The spies disappeared.
We rushed back to the nurse's office and saw that she was right.
Then we remembered we'd left Toko passed out in the equipment room, so we hurried back again.
This can't be happening.
But when we got there, we discovered that now Taka's body had also gone missing. Next thing we knew, we were searching the school for 2 missing dead bodies. And after some time...
Celeste informed us that she'd found the bodies, and we all headed to the repository, which is where we rediscovered the corpses.
I think that about covers it.
I see. The whole thing sounds exceptionally complicated. It certainly seems to me that these are not a simple series of connected events.
Okay, well, if that's true, then what?
Rather than a single series of events, I think we have to consider each murder a separate situation. And from there, we can uncover the contradictions surrounding all of them. Now then, let's get started, beginning with what happened to Taka.
The contradictions hidden in what happened to Taka. In order to uncover the truth of this case, I had to find them, no matter what. Now what do we have? The broken wristwatch, I think, is what we need here. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
It was before.
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
Nope. Oh, damn it, that was the wrong spot.
Shoot.
I'm making all kinds of mistakes this time around.
So, regarding I wonder if, or perhaps it was, we already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
The order that Justice Hammers were used in to commit the murders. Something about that is bothering me.
So, regarding Taka's I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
I think I need to use a numbering
regarding Taka's
here.
death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or
Because
perhaps it was after?
Well, I'm just thinking how to best approach this. Just because the hammers came in a certain order we discovered the hammers in a certain order doesn't mean that they were necessarily used in that order. So I think I need to take the numbering
We
here
already
and
know
then
what order they were killed in.
use it here. Oh, there we go.
It's wrong. Hold on. There's no reason to assume that the hammers were used in the same order as their numbers. If anything, that's just another way the killer tried to disguise their actions.
So you're saying the culprit wanted us to think the hammers were used in order, but in reality, Taka was killed before Hifumi? Okay then, let's see the proof.
Evidence that proves Taka was killed before Hifumi. I feel like there was something. Alright. Now what word? I think it's wristwatch. Okay. Come on, give me another W. Give me an A. No, wait, I'm in a T. Never mind. I'm a fool. But what else is new? These. There we go.
Now I understand. I've got it. Taka's wristwatch. See? Look. It broke with the hands pointing just past 6 o'clock.
It must have gotten broken when he was attacked by the killer, because as of last night,
It was working just fine.
So if it wasn't broken after 6 last night, then he must have been attacked around 6 this morning.
And that would be his official time of death.
But if that's true, then he was killed well before Hifumi.
And before Celeste was attacked this morning, which happened around 7.
That's right. Taka was killed before any of the other incidents took place.
That simple fact slipped past all of us. We made the wrong assumption about the order of events, all because of those justice hammers.
That's exactly why the culprit wrote the numbers on each hammer and had them increase in size. That way, when we saw how they were used in each incident, we'd easily make that wrong assumption.
Now, if Taka was killed around 6, then everyone's alibis for his murder go out the window. Because when he was killed, we hadn't met up in the dining hall yet.
That may be true in the case of Taka's murder. But all of our alibis still hold true for Hifumi's death.
That's right. With him, at least, we're all safe. When we heard Hifumi screaming, we were all together. Except for Hiro and Kyoko. Then we all ran down to the nurse's office, and that's where we found his body.
That's totally true. We're all in the clear.
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming on a tape or something, then played it later on!
If that's true, where's the tape?
I don't know.
Don't just go making stuff up.
Anyway, we all have rock-solid alibis for when we heard Hifumi scream. Since all of us were there together, clearly none of us could have killed him.
And it does not stop there. There was also the moment when we discovered his body had disappeared. When his body vanished from the nurse's office, Hina and I were in the bathroom together, while everyone else was in the equipment room, correct? And then there's the disappearance of Taka's body from the equipment room. At that time, we were all gathered together in the nurse's office because of Hifumi going missing.
Well, don't forget, I was passed out in the equipment room the whole time.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka's body out of there right then!
Even if she could pull that off, there's no way she could have done the same with Hifumi's body. Because, as we just established, she was passed out in the equipment room when his body disappeared.
Besides, I didn't do either of them anyway.
In other words, it is impossible that any of us could have killed Hifumi or moved either of their bodies. On the other hand, Hiro and Kyoko had disappeared, so they most certainly could have done those things.
Except we've already gone to the trouble of proving that Hiro couldn't have been Robo-Justice, and we initially entered this trial with the assumption that Robo-Justice was the culprit. Furthermore, Hiro was unconscious all the way until after the investigation started. Kyoko is the one person here who I can definitely admit does have the most shaky grounds to stand on here.
So what now, Kyoko?
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it, or we'll just keep going around in circles. So instead of who, I propose we start talking about how. In particular, I think we need to figure out how Hifumi's body got moved.
Well, I've already came up with a theory like that, and it involves necromancy.
That's true. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't figure out how to explain his body disappearing. And according to what Celeste said...
Could not have been gone for more than a minute or two.
His body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took their eyes off of it. But to carry that much weight from the first floor up to the 3rd in that short amount of time?
Oh man, yeah! There's no way! It'd be impossible!
Well, what if I told you there was a way to make the impossible possible?
What? How?
If the dead body were to move itself.
I'm glad someone brought up this possibility now. Huh?
The dead body moved on its own?
No! Not another...
Calm down, Porcupine Head.
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. I think what she's implying is, we thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps in reality he was still alive.
He was alive?
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office, but simply walked out on his own?
That's exactly what she's saying.
But I mean, we found his body. He was dead.
Yeah, so we thought, but in retrospect, I think you all could have really saved yourselves a lot of trouble if you just checked his damn pulse when you found him on the floor of the nurse's office.
Perhaps he was simply playing dead.
That it isn't possible.
And why not, Celeste? Given everything that we just discussed, I don't think there's really any other possibility here. The idea that Hifumi was still alive. Is it really possible? Yup! I'll fucking prove it. Even if it kills me first. Well, preferably not if it kills me first.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible.
Let me look at Celeste's account. Yeah, none of these bullets here are really standing out to me.
Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
I think this is what I
And
need.
that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Damn it, I hit the wrong spot. What does that have to do with what I just said? Or you just don't know what you're doing? Apparently I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Shoot!
God damn it, I'm close to death here.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No,
Hifumi was dead, and you know that. Surely you heard the body.
Hifumi's dead body had been found, and that is why the announcement
Damn
was...
it.
Are we really? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
But the body discovery announcement was only made once. That much I'm sure of.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, Hifumi was dead, and you know that.
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Maybe I got this backwards. I think what I need maybe
Are you
is,
saying that when we first found there's a chance he was actually...
No,
Hifumi was dead, and you know that. Surely you
let
heard
me
the
get to
body.
the last remark
Hifumi's
here.
dead body had been...
And that is...
Are we really? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
This is what I need.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi and then there's a chance he was actually...
No,
It is impossible. Hifumi was dead.
And you know that how?
surely you heard the body discovery and Hifumi's dead body had been found.
There we go. I had the order wrong.
Was the body discovery announcement that was made really intended for Hifumi?
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered his body.
I hope you give me a couple more opportunities to restore some health here, because I'm dangerously close to getting us all killed.
Maybe. But that was also the same time that Taka's body was found.
That's right. It wasn't long after finding his body that we heard the announcement.
So there's a good chance we've made a mistake in there somewhere. I think we've confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi or Taka.
First of all, if two bodies had been found, there really should have been two announcements.
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy and rolled them together into one.
What do you say, Monokuma? Any comment?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, so I can't go into too much detail. But what I can say about the body discovery announcement is that it's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body for the first time.
That didn't answer our question, man. We're asking if you're a lazy bum.
Actually, it does answer our question. The body discovery announcement only plays when three or more people discover a single body for the first time. So, remember when exactly the body discovery announcements played before the investigation started. It first supposedly occurred when together we found Hifumi's body in the nurse's office and Taka's body in the equipment room. But we've already just brought forth the possibility that Hifumi was actually alive and was playing dead. In which case, that first body discovery announcement we heard should have been only for Taka then, since he was most certainly dead at that point. And then later on, when we found their bodies within the art repository room, the body discovery announcement played for a second time. Well, I think we can basically safely say that second one, was actually intended for Hifumi.
No, actually, that was plenty. Huh? He said it's only broadcast when a body is discovered for the first time, which even if we find the same body again later, he won't make the announcement again. If that's true, then why was the announcement made again later on?
Huh? Later on?
Exactly. We heard the body discovery announcement twice.
The second body discovery announcement. The first time it played was when we found each body in the nurse's office and the equipment room. And the second time was when both bodies were rediscovered.
I got it! We heard it a second time in the repository, when we rediscovered the 2 bodies.
Ding dong, ding dong. Body's been discovered.
It didn't seem weird at the time, but it contradicts what Monokuma just told us, doesn't it?
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies, the announcement shouldn't have played.
And in reality, when the 2 dead bodies were rediscovered, one of them was actually being discovered for the first time.
So, when we found Hifumi the first time in the nurse's office, he wasn't actually dead yet. Meaning, he wasn't actually found dead until we came upon him in the repository.
And that's just part of it. There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive in the nurse's office.
Oh, I know! Because he was super good at playing dead! Bada bing, bada boom!
Actually, no. It was due to something I found in the trash can.
That is the worst logic I have ever heard. But honestly, I do not think there's anything that can prove he was still alive.
You're so goddamn resistant to everything I've been proposing, Celeste. You must have a serious death wish.
Okay then, let's take another look at the events surrounding the discovery of his body. Then it should become clear whether he was really alive or not.
This whole thing is pointless.
Not really. I mean, we need to figure out who done it, otherwise we're all fucked. There has to be proof that shows Hifumi was still alive. I have to find it and show it to everyone. Well, there's his glasses or that eye gleam cloth. Okay, we got his glasses right there. It has to be that.
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found Hifumi's body was in the nurse's office. And then, while me and Celeste were in the bathroom, his body disappeared.
And the next time we saw his body, it was in the repository.
But when you compare his body before being moved and his body after being moved, other than the change in how it was positioned, there was no notable difference.
Wrong! Glasses!
No, that's wrong! In fact, there was one clear difference between Hifumi in the nurse's office and the repository. His glasses. That fact alone proves that he was only playing dead in the beginning.
Perhaps you'd like to fill the rest of us in?
Yes, most certainly.
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, his glasses were covered with blood. But when we found him again later in the repository, they were spotless. And I found the item he used to wipe them clean in the nurse's office trash can.
The evidence I found in the trash can nurse's office was this lovely piece of shit.
I got it! It was a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon mascot. One look at the bloodstain on the cloth should make things clear. This piece of cloth was used to wipe Hifumi's glasses clean. And the mascot on the cloth is the same one that's on the digital camera, right? And whose digital camera was it? Hifumi's, of course.
The character was Princess Piggles from Demon Angel Pretty Pudgy Princess, I think.
I highly doubt anyone but Hifumi would have brought something like this to school.
I see your point. And the only people here who wear glasses are...
I wouldn't be caught dead using a tacky piece of garbage like that.
A few tissues is all I need to keep my glasses clean.
Then there's no question. It belonged to Hifumi.
So what you're saying is... what exactly?
He wiped his glasses clean and then walked to the repository.
What I'm saying is, the blood on his glasses
rather,
was
he made
wiped
few
away
stops
using his
first.
own glasses cleaning cloth.
Even if that is true, it does not mean he wiped the blood off himself.
Oh, then who could have come into the nurse's office, wiped his glasses clean for him, and then left just in time for him to get up and leave before you and Hina came back? Care to offer us any insight into that, dear Celeste?
But who would benefit from a clean pair of glasses other than the glasses owner?
That's a good point.
And it must have been him, right?
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive in the nurse's office. He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he wipes his glasses clean so he can see. Then he stands up and walks out on his own 2 feet. And with that, the impossible task of moving his copious corpse becomes possible, wouldn't you say?
But then, if he was just pretending to be dead,
The question is why?
what was with all that blood? Was it paint or something?
No, it's real.
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of blood for emergencies. He probably used one of those.
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out, so he just dumped it everywhere. But he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done. God, what an idiot!
And if Hifumi was still alive at that point, the disappearance of Taka's body is easily explained. It should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka's corpse.
One who moved Taka's body was Hifumi.
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room and took Taka's body.
That also explains how the door to the repository got locked.
The door was locked?
Well, after the bodies disappeared, we all went looking for them, right? So me and Sakura headed for the repository. But when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside. Which means, when Hina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was already inside.
And it could only have been Hifumi, who'd just finished stashing Taka's body there.
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository.
But we have one more problem. How did Hifumi ended up getting dealt a lethal blow to the head after he locked himself in the repository with Taka's corpse? He certainly couldn't. He certainly, unless he was feeling really suicidal and found a way to did that to himself, and while hiding the tool he used to do it. Well, That's kind of a problem that we gotta figure out.
So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
But that means he took part in the murders.
I just can't believe it.
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
Always. More evidence is good.
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet to be revealed. You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
Why, yes, actually. Thank you for bringing that up. The thing that Hifumi stole from Taka, could it be a little note that we found? No, wait a minute. Wasn't there something here that said Taka's scrap of paper? I just passed it, didn't I? Yeah. Right here. But I think what I need here is this.
I got it!
Because scrap wouldn't have meant
Talking about
anything
the
by
notes
itself.
Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
Hidden note?
That's right. We found it stuffed in his pants.
What? In his pants?
Yes, his pants.
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now. Take a look at what the note says.
I found a hole maybe we can use to escape. Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the equipment room at 6 a.m.
That's the note I was telling you about. The one that told me where to go. Huh? Wait, this one's a little different. In my note it said, Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
I see. Then this note isn't the same one Hiro got.
It's not the same?
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person besides Hiro. And that person could only have been...
Hifumi's pants!
I got it! That's right! Taka!
No. Are you saying that Hifumi's pants isn't an actual person?
The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
Hello? Over here! Objection! Objection! I don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, right?
Yes, he did.
So whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Huffy!
Just to be clear, TikTok is Taka and Huffy is Hifumi, right?
Ugh! Yes! Why must you ruin it every time?
Man, Genocide Jack is seriously scary. But still, I can't let her get to me. Okay, you want to go around, Jill? Be my guest. 5 bullets this time.
Huffy had the note, right? Then the person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said. What time did it say to meet?
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter!
Yes it does.
The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
Yeah, we got the watch. Shit, I missed. Key, the time mentioned, I feel like that's the key. We have the wristwatch.
Then the person it was in
It stopped working at 6 a.m. around the time he was supposed to meet their killer at 6.
6 a.m. The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
No, that's wrong! No! There absolutely is a connection.
What the hell are you talking about?
Well, silence yourself and I'll explain.
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. You've already proven that using his wristwatch. But there's more. Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is where Taka was killed. I see.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time and place written in the note. I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Well, when you put it like that... No further objections!
Then someone used that note to trick Taka, just the same as me. The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster, telling people they found a way out.
But if they gave the note to Taka, what was Hifumi doing with it?
Stuffed down his pants, no less!
Most likely. Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
Huh? He stole it?
Mm-hmm.
Where's your proof? Go ahead, show us.
Okay. Proof that Hifumi stole a note from Taka. This lovely scrap of paper is my proof.
I got it!
And look at
When
that,
I
I'm almost
searched
back at
Taka's
full
body,
health again.
I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from is... I knew it!
Would you
It
look
fits
at that?
perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi's note.
Yup, they're from the same piece of paper.
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small piece of that note. There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from his death grip, leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
Mm-hmm.
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa. Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure. In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive!
I think you're letting your imagination run away with you again. Just let the adults keep talking.
Sorry, no. When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was truly and completely dead.
But he had to give out one final little speech first, of course.
The second body discovery announcement proves that.
So then, who killed Hifumi?
Whoever did is the mastermind, the true killer.
He was killed in the repository, so he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished, but before we found both bodies in the repository.
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together.
Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus!
Who are you calling a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
And what might that be?
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
The hammers, right?
The weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, according to the Monokuma file, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all.
They were killed with similar weapons. But when we found Hifumi's body in the artwork repository, we didn't find a justice hammer. We didn't find a justice hammer lying around anywhere. In fact, what we did find in there was that some of the hammers that were originally on the wall were missing, which were undoubtedly used to create the justice hammers. The rest were either unused, but there was one big one that we found that looked like it had been recently washed. I think we can safely say that is probably our murder weapon right there, that washed hammer.
But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right? So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it.
Wow, you're actually using your brain cells for this.
But wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
He's right, though. I don't understand it either. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments. But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms,
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers? Personally, I haven't a clue.
So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
Then...
Unless you swing real hard.
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
Thank you for bringing up that possibility.
I don't think it is possible.
Oh,
They
it
were both
is.
killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi?
The weapon that was actually used to kill Hifumi. The whole picture surrounding this case won't become clear until we figure that out. Somehow I have to find the truth. Don't worry, I got this. I am dead positive what we need here. And there it is! Our spotless hammer.
What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers! And, that's about it.
Technically, I have more than one weak spot I could use in order to make the same basic argument, but unfortunately I am playing a video game and they definitely want me to use a very specific weak spot. So I'm just thinking which one. There was the first one that stood out to me with the whole Justice Hammers. Justice Hammer 5 didn't really seem like something that stood out to me all that much, and then there was, of course, one of the Justice Hammers that we saw towards the end. One of those two are the ones I have to go with. But I think I want to try. I think I'm going to try one of the Justice Hammers because that encompasses all the ones that we have seen.
What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer? Maybe Justice
No, it was used to
Hammer
kill
4?
Hifumi. I
Whatever
misremembered
there's
that.
one, how was the culprit able to move? How did nobody witness them carry it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more!
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had
Here.
to be one of the Justice...
Alright, I got it!
The murder weapon wasn't a Justice Hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
But, seriously? A different weapon?
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean. And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the Justice Hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
And whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him.
Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
We did talk about how there wouldn't be any reason for anyone to work together. At least that's what we thought at first. But it's not exactly impossible. Wristwatch with tarps, buttless hammer.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
I think you're onto something, actually. Is the possibility of accomplice really that insane, or is there some chance? Now, let's look at this like they're two separate murders. Now, let me try absorbing that bullet, because I don't think that any of the bullets I got right now is going to really help me.
That is how the rule was explained.
But that only really applies if there's one murder. In this case, however, there were two murders.
Alright, here we go.
Based on the rules that have been laid out, even if more than one, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate, assuming the rule holds true.
Alright.
No, that's wrong. Since there were two murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime. And based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating two separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's just awful! How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
The effort made to convince us the two murders were the same. That was the main characteristic this time. Kyoko must have noticed that fact from the very beginning. Which is why she said not to look at this as a series of connected events, but entirely separate incidents. Kyoko really is amazing. Although, when you think about it, she's almost too amazing. Like, it's almost unnatural how good she is at this.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved, but then who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now!
The true killer manipulated Hifumi to carry out a number of actions, and in the end, murdered him. In debates up till now, the way the case has unfolded, when you consider all that, there's really only one person who seems to fit. Well, time to meet your maker, Celeste.
Here's my answer. It was Celeste.
Ah, so I'm the suspicious individual now, am I?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are.
I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi.
Well, considering how easy it was for you to essentially make him your lapdog, to make him milk tea, and, well, everything that came after that, yeah, I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that you chose Hifumi because, well, you've already kind of conditioned him a little bit to be your lapdog.
The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit from brains, that lazy, worthless goddamn idiot! Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
Mm-hmm.
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
What is it that only Hifumi and Celeste had in common? Encountering the suspicious individual.
I got it! The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush, the adults are talking now.
Go fuck yourself.
Sorry.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said?
Saw a shadow, something moving on top of the stairs.
We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out another scream.
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said?
Saw him, the strange costume man ran off as soon as I screamed. I was blocking the stairs, so he headed further down into the hallway and disappeared.
Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
And that's when he screamed.
It was to get us to divide into two groups. So that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up.
Why don't we split into two groups?
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we're on the third floor, everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead,
So I was not expecting this. I did not imagine Fumi would be murdered.
Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered.
Well, to be fair, at first glance, looking at the state of his body, you would think that someone just came and just, well, splattered the guy's brains out of his skull with something. Until you remembered, you know, check his goddamn pulse or something, but none of you really did that, so... So?
You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
I don't believe it. Everything, the whole thing was one big act.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kind of sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Just gonna keep denying it, huh? Okay, I can just drag you kicking and screaming to our final conclusion as to what happened during this trial. We'll let Monokuma do a few then.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. We're all going to die here. We are going to die. Just like those guys died.
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
What's strange about it is that, as far as we knew at the time, well, as far as logically Celeste knew at the time, she had no reason to suspect that someone else was killed. Specifically, Taka, who was discovered in the physics lab equipment room. She should have had no idea that Taka was already dead, or that there was someone else already dead to begin with. For all she should have known, it should have been just a Hifumi, who we found in the nurse's office. That little slip of the tongue, well, once you put that little snippet to the rest of everything we've just been discussing for the past 5 minutes, come on, what do you think it means?
Then Makoto showed up and
Whoops.
told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto.
Ah, damn. Then pay attention. Sakura, Token, and I were first discovered Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto.
Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
Byakuya said that Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. But what is he alluding to? Don't worry, Mr. Cracker. I got you covered on this one. I didn't notice that little comment myself at first, too, when I played this game for the first time, how strange it was. But once Byakuya pointed it out,
Enjoying the sight of us standing
It's just-
around, frightened and
everything became just so
confused.
rock solid to
They
me.
must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I say.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it, what was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Yep. When Celeste said that what she did, she shouldn't have known yet. With that in mind, what's so strange about what she said is...
All I said, they must really enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are going to.
Those guys. That's what's so strange.
No, it's wrong. That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
Well, to be fair, guys could be a unisex description too.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Thank you! And it's those vivid imaginations of ours that are going to be your undoing.
Imaginations?
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took?
Oh, that?
How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
Simple. Since we've pretty much established that you and Hifumi were in cahoots, we can safely deduce that both of you had created letters to Taka and Hifumi to drag them to different locations in the school to either knock Hiro out in order to put him into the Robo Justice costume, and then for Taka just simply to kill the poor guy dead. As for this picture, well, Hiro should still have been unconscious, as we already established earlier. So I think what we're actually looking at here is not Hifumi being dragged away by Robo Justice, but rather Hifumi carrying Robo Justice on his back.
It has to be some kind of setup, right? So let's put the suit on, and then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit.
I think you should shut up, Celeste. Because maybe, just maybe, as next to impossible as it would be, Hiro's comment would enter into people's subconscious minds and influence them to make the wrong decision, and everything would come out in your favor in the end. Again, I must stress how impossible that is, but, well, I guess it's not entirely impossible, even if it's a 0.01% chance of happening. Either way, you're not really helping your case here by pointing out his inconsistencies. That's all I'm trying to say.
Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away.
Thank you for helping us dig your grave, Celeste.
If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
Well then, allow me to use this vivid imagination of mine to bring forth to you another possibility. Other explanations. If it wasn't a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away, the only other possibility is Hifumi and the suspect have been drinking! No, Hifumi is dragging the suspect away.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible.
Okay, go ahead. Enlighten us. How is this utterly impossible? Entertain me.
Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
You heard the lady, Kyoko. Zip it! Celeste thinks she can prove that there's no way Hifumi was dragging the suspect away. But is that really possible? It's certainly possible. Now let's see what we got here.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out. Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight. You tried to make me look like the bad guy.
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up.
Oh,
straight
yes,
like
there is! Because the costume was designed without a bendable waist.
No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that. Because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
You totally can't bend at the waist. Seemed like a pretty obvious oversight.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
Except it really wasn't a mistake in hindsight, now is it?
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
You're looking a little worried, Celeste. If it is utterly impossible that Hifumi was dragging a suspect away, you shouldn't be reacting like this. You should be offering a refutation.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
That's right. You've clearly made a gamble here that we'd all be fooled by your master plan. It didn't pan out. You've lost. You've not won. Time to give us our winnings.
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate? Celeste? Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem.
And that is...
Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
Who attacked you? Who tried to kill you? Who killed me? That's right, I remember their name. Yasuhiro.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro. In other words, Yasuhiro Hatakure!
Right, but my name isn't really Yasuhiro. It's actually Taro.
Oh, hush, Hiro. Let the adults keep talking.
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
Well, for Sirius's Heroes thing, he didn't really give anybody nicknames. That's pretty much Jill's thing. He said he always referred to us by our last names.
Right. Our last names. He called us all by our last names.
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name.
Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No, there's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal. But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to.
Specifically, the one person whose name we've all been suspicious is authentic right from the get-go.
And that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
What did you just say?
Get the earwax out of your ears and listen.
To think you'd take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit! Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you?
Yes, you do.
Well, do I? What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Fine. Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
Give us your e-handbook. That's one way for sure that we can confirm whether you're telling the truth or not. Celeste still won't give up. So then, I have to do something to make her accept it. And there it is, the e-handbook.
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
How many times do I have to tell you? My name is... Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since
You have no way.
Oh, yes, I do.
No, that's wrong.
Say your prayers.
That's it. The handbook.
what?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before.
Start up, it'll display your name. Always make sure you have the right one.
So all we have to do is check our handbook, and that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
You realize that this is just making you look more guilty, right?
Celeste, can you please just tell us what really happened? Please, just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up.
At least you're honest about it.
Because
Because you're stubborn as a mule, I know.
until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Fine then. Let me settle it. Let me go over the case again, from the beginning, and shed light on all your crimes. And that'll bring everything to an end.
Well, this whole trial certainly didn't go as smoothly as I hoped it would, but hey, at least I managed to come out smelling like roses in the end. In this case, how did the killer recruit their accomplice? Was it seduction? Let's see what we got here. I'm going to say this is what goes here. What time do the killers call their victims to the rec room? 1 a.m. Right here. Those eyes of yours, though, Hero, they're so goddamn intense. Who was it that the killers summoned first? This fool right here. Sure I didn't put the wrong thing there. Nope. They knocked him out, then stuffed him in the robo-justice suit to falsify their evidence, and they used a certain item to do it. Let's see. And they used a certain item to do it. This thing. What time was Taka supposed to head to the equipment room? 6 a.m. And here I thought Hifumi's eyes looked scary. I mean Hiro's eyes, excuse me. The Justice Hammer that was used to kill Taka. What number was it? I believe it was 4, right? Yeah, I think it was 4. In the library, Hifumi used something to fake the existence of a shadowy criminal. Fake something to exist of a shadowy criminal. Well, this thing. Oh, wait a minute, but it's already. Is that the right thing? Okay, I think that's it. Which Justice Hammer was in the nurse's office when Hifumi was pretending to be dead? I think it was Justice Hammer 3. Hifumi used something to move Taka's body. The dolly. And finally, the weapon used to kill the killer used to murder Hifumi. What was it? This thing! Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I think that's the right one.
Here's exactly what happened. Before anything, the killer persuaded someone to help carry out the murder. And that person was... Hifumi. With an accomplice, the killer was able to execute a number of otherwise impossible schemes.
I like how in the bottom panel, where Hifumi's face is showing, his hair is angled in such a way where it makes him look like a shark.
First, they convinced someone to meet them in the rec room last night at 1 in the morning. That someone they met with was Hiro. The murderous duo intended to pass Hiro off as the prime suspect. So when they met up with him, they drugged him, knocked him out, and stuffed him into the robo-justice suit. Next, Hifumi positioned himself to make it look like Robo Justice was attacking him, while the killer used a digital camera to take pictures of the assault. They did all this just to create evidence that would put the suspicion on Hiro. When they were done with him, they shoved him, still unconscious, into the pool room locker. And then finally, at 6 a.m., they moved into the murder phase of their plan. They called Taka to the equipment room. And that's where Hifumi killed him, making it the scene of the first murder. The murder weapon was Justice Hammer 4, which was left there in the equipment room. The reason Hammer number 4 was used was to create confusion about the order of the crimes. So, next they falsified 2 more assault incidents. For these attacks, the killers pretended to be the victims to solidify Robo Justice as the suspect. The first fake incident was the attack in the rec room. There, the killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer 1 and the Robo Justice pictures they'd taken. They wanted to make sure we bought the surprise attack story. The second fake incident was the attack in the library. This time, they planted Justice Hammer 2 and an injured Hifumi to sell us that story. With these 2 incidents, the killers were able to create a certain preconception in our minds that the suspect was increasing the size of the hammers and attacking people in order as they did. We fell right into their trap and started looking for the suspect based on that. But...
Oh, son of a bitch, I was wrong. Alright. At least you were kind enough to remove that for me. I think this is what I wanted right here.
the killer is you! So, next they falsified 2 more assault incidents. For these attacks, the killers pretended to be the victims to solidify Robo Justice as the suspect.
I'm glad that it doesn't start me all the way at the beginning of this whole recap thing whenever I make a mistake.
The first fake incident was the attack in the rec room. There, the killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer 1 and the Robo Justice pictures they'd taken. They wanted to make sure we bought the surprise attack story. The second fake incident was the attack in the library. This time, they planted Justice Hammer 2 and an injured Hifumi to sell us that story. With these 2 incidents, the killers were able to create a certain preconception in our minds that the suspect was increasing the size of the hammers and attacking people in order as they did. We fell right into their trap and started looking for the suspect based on that. But while we did that, we left Hifumi alone in the nurse's office. This was exactly what Hifumi was hoping for. He took a blood packet from the refrigerator and Justice Hammer 3 and turned the room into a crime scene in which he himself had apparently been brutally murdered. He let out a scream to draw us back, and when we returned, that's what we found. Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching found Taka's body at the same time. So when we heard the body discovery announcement, we naturally assumed it was for Hifumi. We left the nurse's office, and Hifumi once again took advantage of the situation. He simply got up and made his escape. When we learned his body had disappeared, we all rushed back to the nurse's office. And once again, Hifumi had the chance he was waiting for. This time, he snuck into the equipment room. he wrapped Taka's body in a tarp and used the dolly to move it all the way down to the repository. That explains how each of the bodies disappeared. But even Hifumi didn't know what the true killer had in mind for their final act. Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi and get rid of the one person who could betray them. And they did it using an ordinary, everyday hammer from the repository. That should cover everything that happened in this case. And the villain behind it all is...
You, Celeste.
Celeste! Sorry, you lose.
I lost? I lost? When was the last time I was forced to utter such words? They hang heavy around my neck.
Not as heavy as a noose that's going to be tied around your neck is.
Then you admit it? You're the killer?
Listen to you, trying to take charge, as if you're my private instructor. I, Celestia Ludenberg. Actually, no. Taiko Yasuhiro is fine.
Taiko?
So, you finally accepted it.
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost, I don't like things to drag on.
Interesting.
Alright, show me how bad I did. I got an A out of that whole thing? Don't insult me now. That was at the very least a B. Well, at least I got 120 more medals.
Okay, Monokuma. I'm ready to begin. Or, no. I suppose this is the end, isn't it?
It is indeed the moment we've all been waiting for. Time to vote, okay? Okay. If you would, please locate your lever and cast your vote. And when the votes are tallied, who will become the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
It's basically a formality at this point, but once again, you're totally correct. The blackened this time, the true killer who devised the whole stinking scheme was... Celestia Ludenberg! Or more precisely, Taiko Yasuhiro!
Honestly.
I lost. Well, that sucks. I guess trying to work with someone else was a mistake, after all. Hifumi's ineptitude was beyond all my calculations.
I knew it.
So you really did approach Hifumi with this plan. But how did you get him to agree? I can't imagine he would have happily agreed to commit murder. I'm sure she relied on her specialty. Lying. My specialty? Don't make me laugh. I didn't have to lie to get him to agree.
So then...
Then did you use... you know. I knew you'd figure it out, Kyoko. You're absolutely right. To get Fumi to act as my accomplice,
Indeed.
I used her. Alter ego. For everyone who's still left, I'll avoid mentioning it by name, but it was the one thing Hifumi and Taka were both super into. At least you're considerate enough to help to keep the secret, even though we've kind of sentenced you to death at this point. I mean, at this point, you really would have nothing to lose by hiding it. So, if you really wanted to be spiteful towards us, you really could just divulge everything you know about Alter Ego while Monokuma is within earshot. Does she mean... is she talking about Alter Ego?
Say what?
What? What? What are you talking about?
Just a second.
Don't interrupt. We're in the middle of a very important conversation here. I'm totally out of the loop, as usual. That was sad.
In other words...
Then you're the one that stole it.
Indeed.
That's right.
I see.
And you used it to drag Hifumi into the plan you'd come up with. Right again. Last night, after we had our meeting about how it disappeared, I paid Hifumi a little visit. What are you doing here?
Actually,
I was hoping I could talk to you. Alone. It's about what was stolen. I know who did it.
What?
What?
are you okay with this?
It was Taka. He stole it. But that's a lie right there, Celeste. But then again, you are a natural born liar, so should I really be surprised here? What?
So then...
And I have proof. Would you like to see it? As it turned out, I'd found a use for the digital camera. I'd taken you-know-what to Taka's room earlier, and took pictures of it there. I deleted the picture as soon as I'd shown it to Hifumi, of course.
Damnation!
So it was him! But how did he do it? She was supposed to yell if either of us got close to her! You are correct. Which is why Taka forced me to steal it.
Say what?
What?!
As for me...
Please forgive me. He threatened me.
Oh,
He did?
As for me...
He came to my room last night unannounced, and then... It's hard for me to even say. He... abused me.
what?
What? And he took pictures. He said if I did not do as he asked, he would show them to everyone. So I had no choice.
Damnation!
That's a crime! An absolute crime! You know, Hifumi, I'm kind of amazed here that, in spite of how much you've grown to hate Taka at the point, I would have figured that it would have cycled through your brain at some point. Does this sound like the sort of thing that the quote-unquote ultimate moral compass would do? Just think about it, man. I knew he'd gone a little crazy, but...
Say what?
I never imagined he would go that far! It was amazing how completely he bought it. I can't express how enjoyable that was. I'm about to say something I never said before in my life.
Completely unforgivable!
I'm going to kill him! I'm going to fucking kill him!
Most unfortunate.
Wait, please. If you go now, you'll be playing right into his hands. Huh?
Actually...
Taka is planning to use her to escape. And he has made you his target.
What?
Escape? You don't mean... Taka is going to try to kill you. What?!
Indeed.
And also he could keep her to himself.
This is unforgivable!
That bastard!
Completely unforgivable!
Bastard, 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 bastard!
Honestly.
Can we allow him to continue with these barbaric acts? Absolutely not. How could I? She...
I swear, I will save her!
I have to save her!
Actually,
Then, would you like to join with me? It just so happens I have come up with a plan. Huh? I devised a way to reclaim what he has stolen and escape this dreadful school. And with that, it is complete. Huh? What are you talking about? Oh, nothing. Hifumi agreed without a second thought. The effect that item had on him was remarkable. The power of love. Even a love as twisted as that can still drive people mad, it would seem. You disgust me.
I see.
I have another question for you. Was that strange costume Hifumi's creation?
indeed.
Yeah. It was a real pain in the butt, too. All I asked him to do was make something to hide the face and general body size. I had no idea he'd make something like that. But it's my fault for picking him in the first place.
But...
So, why'd you decide to make me the suspect? Because you're stupid. That's it?
Let's see.
Well, rejoice, stupid people across the world. You have one less threat to deal with now. Thanks to me. And in that regard, I made the right choice. I'm so glad your stupidity surpassed my every expectation. Life must have been tough on your parents, though. I feel like I could cry.
Well,
But when you were explaining your plan to Hifumi, how did you explain the part about him playing dead? What she's talking about is, what was Hifumi supposed to do after that, assuming you had actually let him live?
Are you okay with this?
That's simple. After he did his part and pretended to be dead, once someone showed up, I told him to say he'd been seriously wounded. He was on the verge of death, but he just barely held on. And he really believed that? Well, of course, that wasn't all there was to it. As I explained to Hifumi, the plan was, while you were all questioning him and what had happened to him, I was going to murder someone else. At that point, Hifumi would have an alibi, so nobody could doubt him. I told him that, and he believed it. It all seems very straightforward, stereotypical. And that bores you, does it not? I just matched the lie to the level of the opponent. In fact, Hifumi ate it up. He believed the lie wholeheartedly, right up until the moment of his death.
so in the end,
So you had planned to kill him all along. But of course, there would have been no point to my plan if the one who pretended to be dead did not end up dead himself.
What the heck?
How can a human life mean so little to you?
Well,
That's a non-issue. I simply did everything in my power to win.
Don't be mean!
Now you sound like Byakuya!
I wonder about that.
No, he derives his pleasure from the thrill of the hunt. In that aspect, we are nothing alike.
Why?
Then, what made you take things this far?
What the heck?
Was it really just for money? Are you talking about the $10 million Monokuma offered us? That is a lot of money, it's true. But that's not all there is to it. From the moment our new life here began, my only thought has been escape. Which is very interesting, considering that all the way up from day one, you've been all about telling us to survive and adapt if you want to have any chance of, well, making it through the day in the situation that we found ourselves in. But all along you've been saying how we have to accept living here.
You little bitch!
Obviously that was a lie! Yeah!
Hey!
I couldn't take it. I hated it from day one. More than anyone else in here.
You little bitch!
I wanted to get out. Every day was fresh torture. And do you want to know why? Huh?
This is fine.
Because I had a dream. And accepting a life here would have meant nothing less than giving up on my dream forever.
Honestly.
And there was no way that I could ever do that. In the underground world of gambling, I risked my life to make a metaphorical killing.
As for me...
And it was all for that dream. And what was this dream of yours?
Isn't it wonderful?
To live in a European castle. A castle? And to gather handsome men from all over the world to serve as my butlers/bodyguards. I was going to make them dress up like vampires and satisfy my every need. Once I obtained that, I would have created a perfectly aesthetic world of decadence.
This is fine.
Living the rest of my life there was my only dream. My only goal. That's what life is all about! Combined with my own winnings, Monokuma's $10 million would have made that dream a reality. I got right to the edge, but...
There is nothing to be done.
Unfortunately, my dream has been scattered to the wind. Still, I don't have any regrets. I pursued my dream till the very end, so why would I?
Just the worst.
You sound so passionate, but... You were really able to kill your own friends for it?
Oh.
Are you asking me to feel guilty? That's a pointless endeavor. I think nothing of sacrificing others for my own ends. I feel nothing.
Do you understand?
That's all there is to me. That's what makes me complete. And that's why I consider you the least sympathetic murder that we've dealt with so far. Isn't it terrifying how different our values are? There's simply no room for understanding.
What is this?
That's what we should be saying. And plus, how can you be so calm? Don't you realize you're about to die? Why aren't you scared? My ability to lie is unrivaled, and I take pride in that. It's not just other people. I can even fool my own emotions. The conscious deceives the unconscious. And that's why you're not scared.
Yes, indeed.
That's right. I don't fear death. Kill me however you like. But you know, if I could be reincarnated, if I had a choice, then...
Isn't it wonderful?
I think I would like to come back as Marie Antoinette.
Hey.
You just get executed again. Celeste smiled then. And when she did, it looked to me like a poor effort to force it. She claimed she could fool her own feelings. But that statement itself must have been her final lie. And that weak fake smile is what betrayed her.
Thrills, chills, kills!
You all done? Okay, then let's get rolling. The blackened disturbed the peace and must pay the price.
Now then, I've prepared a very special punishment.
For her, the ultimate gambler.
Let's give it everything we've got. It's punishment time!
I guess I'll let Kyoko hold on to this. What?
This is
Will it really give you the hope you're looking for? I can't say I ever saw it that way. Which is why... Actually, it's not important. Well then, take care, everyone. Perhaps we'll meet again, in another life.
Game over. Celeste has been found guilty. Time for the punishment. The burning of the Versailles witch. It's over. The third execution is over. Celeste's death is over. Celeste killed my friends, so I can't pity her. But I also can't deny that at one point I considered her a friend too. And for him just to come along and... Isn't it just awful? Someone couldn't cut free their regrets from the outside world, and so more people had to die.
Extreme!
You guys are still young. You need to place more value on your lives.
What are you gonna do?
Jeez. And here I thought you guys were gonna pass the torch of hope to the next generation.
Let me out of here!
What do I care about hope? I'll throw it in the trash if you just let me out of here!
Too bad.
You're all the embodiment of hope, whether you like it or not. And it's my destiny to knock you down one by one. It's sad, yes it is, but that reality just can't be avoided. Don't talk like you're not responsible. How long are you going to make us keep going through this? What do you want from us?
How strange.
God, I'm so sick of people asking me that. Give it a rest already! So anyway... Kyoko! Did I see you get some kind of key-type object from Celeste?
Hey! Hey!
So, what's the deal with that?
What?
Huh? What's the matter?
So then,
I'll answer your question, if you answer mine.
you...
What did you do? What did you do to me?
Ooh.
What?
Hey,
Answer me. What did you do to my body?
Ooh. How exciting.
Ooh, ah! Oh man, oh jeez! Oh man, oh jeez! What do you mean, what did I do? I have no idea! I don't know anything about it. What was that just now? The mastermind did something to Kyoko's body. What does that mean?
Hello.
You could try asking either one of them, but I don't think you'll get very far. Okay, things are getting kinda awkward. I think it's about time I got out of here.
Well?
Meanwhile, you guys can go on enjoying your school life. If you get lonely, give me a shout. Not that I'll do anything about it, of course.
See ya later!
See ya. Monokuma disappeared, leaving us all depressed and in despair. Although, it wasn't all despair. There was one small hope. Hey, Kyoko. Monokuma already mentioned it, but what's that key that Celeste gave you?
So...
Most likely, it's the key to one of the dressing room lockers.
Huh?
What? Then that means... Celeste probably hid it in there.
Hey,
I suppose sometimes it's easiest to miss what's right beneath your nose. Well then, we better go check.
Indeed.
Good idea. We left the courtroom and rushed to the dressing room. As we approached the dressing room, Kyoko looked back at us and said,
Hey,
I'm going to go on alone from here. Everyone else head to the dining hall. I'll check in with you later.
What?
Why exactly are you going alone?
so...
Do you even have to ask? As she spoke, she glanced quickly at the surveillance camera.
Come on.
That's not what I mean. Why you? There's still the risk of a spy, you know. Then I'll go too.
What?
You. Please, let me go. Standing here arguing is just going to draw more attention to us.
Goodbye.
Do whatever you want. Thank you, Byakuya.
well then.
Then it's up to you now.
Yo!
I'm gonna go to the dining hall, okay? Huh? So Makoto and Kyoko are gonna go... together? Think nothing of it, Hina. Does that mean what I think it means?
Okay.
Good luck, Makoto. Girls like her are total pushovers when you show a little backbone. I tried to forget what Hina said. Everyone head to the dining hall, leaving me and Kyoko there alone.
Shall we go?
Well, shall we? Yeah,
So then,
we need to get into that locker. Kyoko took the key Celeste had given her and unlocked the locker. And as the locker swung open, we saw...
You really came.
Good morning. There you are. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's safe. Thank goodness. I never heard Kyoko sound so relieved. It was like she was speaking from the bottom of her heart. I just did what Celeste asked. I didn't say a word. I stayed quiet the entire time.
So,
Oh, and... I think I might be able to open the last set of files soon. Maybe as early as tomorrow. I'm doing my best, so please wait just a while longer. So, now we can officially say the case is closed. As far as this incident is concerned, sure. But... can we take a second? Since we have this opportunity, I want you to be honest with me. Kyoko, please tell me. What are you trying to do while you're on your own here at the school?
you...
Is that why you wanted to come here with me?
However,
Regardless, that's not something you need to know right now. And why the fuck not? What's the harm in me knowing right now? I don't need to know. That just makes me even more worried.
what?
Worried? Like what happened during the investigation this time? You disappeared, and we didn't see you again. Without warning, without explanation. When you do that,
Indeed.
it's only natural that they think I'm the mastermind spy, right? And you too. No! I believe in you.
What?
You believe in me? Isn't it obvious? People believe in their friends, right? That's why I want you to tell me. And I want you to believe in me too. Because we're friends. I understand.
It's true.
Then maybe I can believe in you. Just a little bit more. Then...
That's fine.
Fine. I'll tell you. I'll tell you why I've been disappearing and where I've been going. You see, what I heard from Kyoko then was, well, frankly, it kind of blew my mind. Right after I told Kyoko I believe in her, she told me a story that was, well, almost unbelievable. I decided I had to confirm what she told me with my own 2 eyes. So I waited for nighttime to come. And when it did, I went into action.
Correct.
The boys' bathroom on the 2nd floor doesn't have a surveillance camera or monitor in it. In the storage closet there, way in the back. She said it was way in the back of the boys' bathroom storage closet, but could Kyoko really be right about this? Well, one way to find out. It was just a normal storage closet as far as I can tell. The secret Kyoko told me about could it really be hidden here. She said it was way in the back of the storage closet. But I mean, seriously? Without thinking, I placed my hand on the back of the storage closet. And suddenly, as if I were being yanked in, it's a revolving door! At the same time as I heard that sound, I fell through the wall. I had no idea what was going on. Looks like we've stumbled across a hidden room. I'd fallen through the back of the storage closet. Huh? It turned out, the back wall was like a revolving door, and I made my way to the other side. Just like Kyoko had said.
Correct.
In the boys' bathroom on the 2nd floor, there's a storage closet, and way in the back of that closet, there's a secret room. So this is the secret room. But what's in here? Well, let's look around a bit. First, let's look at this glorious chair. It's just a normal desk with normal drawers. Now let's look at this glorious bookcase. There's a bunch of files and what look like volume after volume of yearbooks. They're all covered in dust. Looking at everything, one file at the edge of the bookshelf caught my eye. Ospeak Academy Student Registry. This is the only thing here not covered in dust. Has someone been looking at it recently? I slipped a file into my hand. But before I had a chance to look at it, a slip of paper fell out of the file, and I turned my attention to it. You must not leave. Interesting. I wonder what this could mean. What's this? You must not leave. That's kind of weird. I could understand it if it said, like, I can't leave, but you must not leave? What is this? My head feels funny. A strange sensation. It's like deja vu. Those words. You must not leave. I've seen them. Somewhere before. But I can't quite remember. What do I know? What don't I know? Behind you! that was quite the wrestling mask if I ever saw one. A strange sound rang out through my head. It felt like it was shaking my brain back and forth. And then, darkness. I don't understand what's happening. I don't know what started it. It's all over. And with that, I opened my eyes. I didn't know how long it had been. Ow! Apparently something hit me, and I lost consciousness. That's all I understood. And all the shit is gone. The dull, throbbing pain in my head proved that much, at least. An empty bookshelf. Huh? Empty. Gone. It's all gone! The yearbooks, the student registry, and even the note that had fallen on the floor. It's all gone? It looks to me like you were stumbling upon something that you weren't supposed to. What does this mean? But my brain refused to do any more work. The insistent pain in my head began to spread across the rest of my body. For now, I should go back to my room. Get some rest. My body was heavy with pain. My mind heavy with thought. I dragged myself back toward my room. Somehow I made it back to the first floor of the school. The farther I walked, the more I felt. Things are getting blurry. Can't see. In front of me. I couldn't stop myself from collapsing right there. And after that... As if from a vast distance, I heard a sound. It was faint, but undeniable. That sound... It's coming from... the gym? As I desperately hauled my shaky frame toward the gym, the sound got stronger and stronger. What's going on? Can't be nothing. Here, in the gym? Let's see what's the noise is all about. I didn't make a sound as I opened the door to the gym. The sounds coming from inside, meanwhile, only intensified that much more. Well, apparently Monokuma can put up a fight. Before me there raged a battle beyond anything humanly possible. No, one side's not human, that's for sure. But, regardless, I couldn't stop staring. I forgot to move, or even breathe.
Why, you? What do you think you're doing? You a question. What's the meaning of this? How dare you defy me? This wasn't part of the deal!
Deal, you say? The deal?
I've made a decision. I will no longer retreat, no longer compromise, no longer regret. I've made my decision. I'm going to resist you.
Okay. But you do realize what will happen if you go through with this, right? You haven't forgotten, have you? What I'm holding hostage?
What am I looking at? Apparently a deal going very sour. What am I hearing? A hostage? Then, could it be? The mastermind spy is... It's apparently Sakura, going by what we're seeing here. Chapter 3, A Next Generation Legend, Stantal Galactic Hero. The end. Surviving students. Only 7 of us left. To be continued. You received a Super Robo Justice present. Well, that was quite the chapter. And on top of that, besides surviving yet another class trial, we've now apparently figured out the identity of the mastermind spy. It was not Kyoko, like everybody has been suspecting, or mostly Byakuya, but rather Sakura. So, as interesting as this information is, I think we'll worry about what we're going to do with it in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of Danganronpa. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.